There we are. Welcome. We'll try that again. Welcome to my humble little office. My name is R. Keith. I'm a spiritual guide and paranormal adept. The journey continues today on good question. March 21st, 2025 at approximately 4:21 p.m. PST. Now this is a day in the office, episode 14. So absolutely when you get in here, absolutely ask the questions you've got. Operation Shutdown, how you doing? You are in with the gold. Now, I build myself as a spiritual guide because the tools I offer are the exact same tools I personally use in my day-to-day life. And the philosophies of life I talk about are the same philosophies I use to guide virtually every decision I make. With this in mind, I know these tools will work for you because they continue to work for me and have literally worked for thousands of other people over the years with varying degrees of success depending on their own personal efforts. Now, as we all know, well, as most of you know, any question you've got, doesn't matter what it is, I keep an eye on things here as best I can. So absolutely, if you've got a question, put it into the chat room in all caps so I can find it. Okay, now, one of the biggest things I found is I've got glasses to choose from and can absolutely confuse myself that way. But if you're going to make things work, you've got to stay organized. This is why you'll find, at least on day in the office, I don't tend to sit still a whole lot. What is this? Now that is 318. Yep, that's right. That's the binder containing my list method. The funny thing with the list method is it works like an absolute charm for keeping tabs on everything. And Joe Stewart, you are in with the silver. How you doing, Joe? Glad you could make it. And where are we here? I started a little early because I usually have trouble getting this up and running. Do not ask me why. I'm hardwired in, so it should work easy enough. Unfortunately, in my world, working easily doesn't necessarily hold. So that stuff goes there, and this. There we go. Yes, I'm going to end up walking out of view for every now and then. Primarily because, well, that's how I get things done. Right now, the office itself is set beautifully. I won't be going through the zip drives right now, primarily because of the fact if I do too much with the computer directly, it screws things up. So, caffeine's good. Now, where am I? Oh, let me see here. Okay, so we take that. This is that neat little container that I use, the satchel, so that when I head out, I can take it with me. But I don't need the stuff on it right now. On the plus side, a lot of the writing I had to do, I managed to get sorted out. Right here, not that one. This one here, that goes there. See, I am curious if I've got anything sitting here. What kinds of things came through? Sort of. Well, who did we just pop in with? Chad, how you doing? Glad to see you. You are in with the bronze. And Chad, people, is, I do give him the bronze, but then Chad is one of the moderators here. He just tends to have a rather hectic schedule, as near as I can figure, which makes total sense, since I never know where I am. That I do not require. There we go. Now, this, boy, did I ever get a lot done on my list today. Well, those have to be moved over. So let us see what we got here. AO. I think that was one. Oh, sure. Put it over there and don't keep the thing handy. Let's take that, minimize that. Oh, there we go. Chad goes working 2 p.m. to midnight these days. Yeah, I still usually pack it in by 10, 11 at night, and then back up at like 2 o'clock in the morning half the time. What is today? Today's the 21st. Oh. Okay, gotta look at that. Where, pray tell? Oh, I don't have to look at that. Drop a pen somewhere. There we go. Yeah, I was just looking at this. I've got my phone bill's up, and it dawned on me I'm already overpaid on my phone bill, which is a really weird feeling. Yeah, Joe's just gone. Few funerals been taking place out back, which, it is a cemetery, so this would make sense. Although it is more interesting watching when they get back out. Although that can be a little disconcerting for most people. Now, last night was the 19th. There we are. No, last night was not the 19th. It was the 20th. Didn't have to do anything there. So, just bringing my calendar up to date, making certain I've got it tracked properly. And that worked out well, and there we are. So, but I went out today, and I'm getting a couple of the articles written that I've got to do for future reference. And I'm about to contact my 2 artists and get back on track there. Sure, take glasses off. Can't read a thing. Now, what do we got here? Yeah, we did kind of stall here for a little bit, but the reason for that, life got a little hectic. But the thing is that my son right now is going after his driver's license. He's down the last couple of weeks of practice before well, no, wait a minute, we're in March. Yeah, last couple of weeks of practice before he writes it, before he takes the practical. So that's got to take priority for the moment. But what do we got here? Not that. This file can go back where it belongs. There we go. That is that one. This one is the other side I've been working on. So, nope, it's gotta still be in there. Nope, can't still be in there. Well, it could be. That is not what I'm looking. Oh, wait a minute. There we are. Yep. That's got to go there because this is the start of the information to deal with the Galactic Consortium. Just trying to see what we did there for tonight. Not that. Let's take a look at that. Okay. Well, that's entertaining. Okay, let's see what this is. Again, this is just a question of puttering around and getting things done that otherwise get postponed. And what do we got going? That's live right now, which is fine. Oh, what is that? Oh, no, that's way back. Okay, so those are all running properly. We ignore that for the moment. Yeah, in case you hadn't noticed, I talk to myself a fair chunk when I'm sitting puttering. I don't need that, but I do require. Okay. Not chakras. What is that one? This one here. There we are. I do believe I have this one sorted around. Where are we? That. Cowie, how you doing? You are in with honorable mention. Hopefully things are going well on your end. I know things have taken an interesting turn on my part. Net result, I end up with more energy than I knew what to do with. And that's okay. Now we're holy mackerel. This always confuses me. All I'm literally doing is puttering around doing what I have to in the office to get things moving. And I still get people wandering in, which is bizarre from my end, although appreciated, don't get me wrong. Where is language? Okay, that's where that is. And we go to here. I finally made a decision, and I don't know if it was the right one or not, but I took a look, and this is extremely important to literally every one of you. I took the time to figure out what my income was and what my absolute rock bottom expenses were to just simply keep a roof over my head. Figured that out, and I'll tell you, it alleviates a whole lot of stress once you know what you're doing, what you've got coming in. Now, let me see something. I know what I've got there, because that is language. Oh, well, that's entertaining. I've already got most of these. So I've got additions to them. This is a handy little item. So, no, what I did, I should really try and keep, when somebody asks a question like that, I really should try and stay focused on it. However, that apparently is not necessarily one of my strong suits. But made a decision that I'm going to build my budget around what I know is coming in and then work from there. Now, this does have some side effects and there is some gambling involved. No, I'm not going to the casino. That is not gambling. That's throwing your money away. What is this? So I decided I was going to figure it out. Now, once you figure out where you're standing, it makes it so much easier to actually get ahead of the game. All right, income tax. Now, I will tell you guys, where it comes to income tax, doesn't matter what country you're in, if you guys pay income tax, get it tracked early. So, with that in mind, I'm going to tell you to get it tracked early. I do believe that what I should be doing here is going, what do we got? Don't need that. Let's minimize that. Okay, now Empire should be here. Yep. So I go all the way to the beginning of the year. And this is a neat little thing. Again, and I always come back to this list method because it works like a charm. If you haven't utilized it before, it might be an idea to give it a shot if you're having trouble staying organized. Now, I go here. There we go. Don't need those. Okay. So what you do, like what I'm doing is going back so I can get these marked down and into my income tax file for the end of the year and just have the information right there without having to look it up again. So I'm just looking at what I've actually paid. So we go. Power company. Whoop. There we are. Power company in January. Didn't put much into it. But that's okay. I'm getting ahead. Power. Home. And sell. So, power company got that. Power company only got 20. I just happen to have, or because I just happen to have a little bit. And then that is the home phone. It's got 152.73. The cell phone got a mind-boggling 25. Again, I was running on shoestring at the time. Then we carry on. Let's see if I end up with anything else. There went another 200 on. That's home? That's home. And mobility got 94.84. And, the funny thing is, some will tell you that, you shouldn't tell people what your bills are. I'm not giving you account numbers, although in all fairness, if I gave you account numbers, it'd be really appreciated if you pay my bills. Okay, that's IG. I don't need that. Okay, and then we go into February. And in February, what do we got going out? Here we go. Fortis. God, Fortis is my power company. I caught it all up to date. Because that was 539.24. And then, not that one. Phone was 352. See, I was behind for a bit. And then sell. See, the thing with utilities, if you're behind, okay, and you can get ahead, don't worry about it, because what'll happen, you keep track of it so you don't run into a problem after the fact. But the reality is, what ends up happening is you'll have a credit on the account, meaning you're paid ahead, which means it's less likely you're going to get your power or phone or whatever cut off. Now, here we go. On the 11th, we have 175 on power. Phone got 176, which gives you an idea of how far behind I was. But I've recently, as in within the last couple of days, got things brought back into balance. Mobility 119.84. Now the good news is, with the money that I put on the utilities, 2 of them are already paid for this month. Okay, I'll have to deal with that. But this is utilities 2025. This way, this little sheet of paper here, because I've just paid it, or more to the point, I've just recorded it. So it now goes and find the file marked income tax for next year. Again, guys, the more organized you are, the less stress you're going to have. It's just a natural side effect. Now, here's a cute thought for you. What is the definition of an entrepreneur? Well, I found it out quite a while ago. It boils down to this. An entrepreneur seems to be somebody willing to work 16 hours a day for themselves, so they don't have to work 18 hours a day for somebody else. Now, that may not be what you see as an entrepreneur, but it is something to consider. Now, put a couple extra things here that I've got to deal with today. And I can actually do that while I'm at this. Bring that up and see what happens. Yeah, that's brilliant. Let's move that over there where I can actually see it. The neat part about it, guys, is that the tools I talk about here are literally the ones I'm using. Okay, don't need that. Let's see if I can find. Okay. Let's see if we can find him. Hopefully that's not a sign. Uh-oh. Well, this is one of those things I really have to deal with. But just reaching out to my artist. Here we are. Well, we'll see how that works. Now, that's one that I've got to deal with. The other one I've got to deal with, so I'll leave that up and running. And let's see what I got here. Yeah, nothing like having things go into a tailspin for a bit. But, can't believe I've been online that long. Still trying to figure out what we're up to tonight at the same time. That should be set up pretty quick here. That's live, so that's good. Now let's see. And we reach out to this one, which is my other artist. All I'm doing right now is literally typing out a reconnection note for a couple of people I've got to get in touch with. Whoop. Okay, we go to here. Welcome. How you doing? Glad you could join us. I'm just having to do a little bit of puttering around literally on the computer while I'm here at this point because there's people I've just about lost contact with and I'm now reaching out to reconnect. Okay, what do we got? I've got to get into those. Normally, I don't actually work on the computer itself while I'm online because more often than not, it creates complication. Now, there we are. Let's go ahead and take a look at Buy Me a Coffee. And again, guys, any of the books I talk about are literally available on the Buy Me a Coffee link. Password. Now let's see if that worked. There we are. Now this is the 21st, so we'll see how that goes. Once this stream is over, I will be pulling money out to make sure it gets into my account before the end of this month, because I'm finally starting to get book sales up and running, which is a really nice change. Now, what do we got here? View page. Those are physical. Okay, they're not. I'll check with him afterwards. Let's go back to home there. Well, let's get out of that one before I get into a snag. And log out of that. Okay, so, but there we are. It's weird trying, sort of gearing up to recalibrate things. One of the biggest things, which one is it now? Don't need that. That one there. Okay, we have, now, this one's going to be a little on the longer side. I'm in the process, on top of what I'm putting into Positive Perspectives, I am getting booklets written. But of critical priority right now, let us take a look at Races of the World. Let's see what that is. Okay, time to finish this one off. Let's go down to wherever it's green. Or is it all? Whoop, there we are. So that tells me that. Go back up here. Shouldn't have gone that far. There we are. Okay. So that tells me where to start there. Because tonight we get this one done. Now, I've got, that is, well, that's K, so I'm about halfway through. That's page 44, and when we get done it, we are down to page 8. Okay, so halfway through Races of the World's, the second edition, which is what is going to end up having all the pictures in it. Okay, I finally got my button gear, and I'm starting to get it written out. Starting to get it filled in anyway. Now, let's minimize that to get it off the track. It's getting done, and let's bring up, what I'm doing in all fairness is getting the books open so I can work on them tonight. This is not an entire shock. Looks like I'm on my own for the moment. Maybe. Let me see here. We go refresh. Yep, I am on my own, and that, that's to be expected. It's not like I have a really exciting little stream here. But that means I can get the other things organized I've got to. Where is book 12? Right there. Don't know where I was last. Oh, well, wait till we get done. This is literally one of the issues, but I'm here right now because, well, let's face it, I've got things I've got to get done. This does keep me seated for it. Sort of seated. Oh, there we are. So, where did we go? Book 12. I ended up creating one heck of a mess for myself. So I know that the last book isn't going to be quite what I was hoping for, but I've got to get back, and it's going to take me forever to straighten it out. So I've had to look at it and go, okay, how am I going to straighten this mess out without creating an added problem? And to be honest, I'm not entirely certain. I'm going to have to work backwards, I think, which is an absolutely backwards and pain in the neck method of doing things. But this is a question of I literally spent 2 years in rather severe depression. Screwed up my writing, screwed up a whole lot of things. Will Rider, how you doing? By the way, you are on, intriguingly enough, you're actually in with honorable mention. Hopefully things are going well on your end. They're finally starting to turn right on my end. What I don't know is how long it's going to take. But the feedback I keep getting from people is this is working. I don't, myself, I don't fully understand it. But then, in all fairness, I don't have to. So what do I do there? Oh, let's take a look here. Okay. What I'm actually doing at this point, because, well, frankly, I'm sort of puttering and clearing things up that I've been, shall we say, neglecting. Tell me. Jiminy. It would be nice if I could type, but on the other hand, at least I'm starting to be able to. I'll tell you, once you've had, like in my case, I had a stroke, which is what caused my hand to collapse when it came to typing. So now what I'm doing, usually I don't actually work on what I'm actually typing, primarily because you think it's boring listening to me and watching me putter around. Watching me sit while I'm typing has got to be worse. There we go. We pop that one out. And let's see. We go back to comments. See if I'm missing something here, which is probable under the circumstances. Well, that'd be going back a fair piece. Oh. Oh, there we go. Welcome is going, hi, Keith. I did a welfare check on my neighbor's young boy, 8 years old. He's got autism. You know. We play. Now, I am completely at a loss as to what Ludo is. But the neat thing, and the one thing I did find out. Oh, where are we at? Okay. Autism, in all fairness, welcome to the show. Is literally going, he says, I did a welfare check on my neighbor's young boy, 8 years old. He has autism. We played Ludo, and he beat me big time. He's usually nonverbal, but with me, we talk. Your thoughts on autism? Well, number one, autism, and I am not a medical doctor. Okay, let's start there. But what I have discovered with most autistic kids, and adults for that matter, is they think and behave on different wavelengths. They literally communicate in a different fashion than the standard people, if you will. Be careful you do not underestimate the creativity and or capability of an autistic child. Because I will tell you, you can underestimate them very quickly. Okay, but if you treat them on their level, in other words, you look at them and treat them as though they're just plain normal, they understand they have a different way of learning. It may be a question of just simply showing them, just like everybody else. Some people learn by physically doing, some people learn by watching, some by listening, and some by reading. Autistic children respond by feeling. If they feel that you are treating them as an equal, they will respond much more readily. And in all fairness, welcome, this is probably what's happening with this munchkin. Okay, is that you're probably connecting with him in a way that he feels included in your world. And ultimately, that's what every individual in existence is aiming for. Okay. I mean, the trick is, like, when I'm talking to kids or adults, it doesn't matter to me. I end up talking to start with at my level. Okay. I will use terms that make sense to me. But once I know somebody isn't getting it, I will downplay it. It's not I will treat them like they don't understand anything, but I'll put it in simpler, yet more often than not, less specific terms. When I first started trying to explain the OTE drive to a university graduate, I spoke in terms that made sense to me. I had to dial back on the linguistic side of it in order for her to get it. And she had a master's in rocketry and astrophysics. Now, here's the thing with an autistic kid. With a person with autism, that was really terribly pronounced. Anyway, or that was terrible pronunciation, you get to pick. But they will quite often understand the idiosyncrasies of a situation way better than they know how than they recall how to articulate. I mean, I don't know what the specific handicap was that this one child had. You know what a hedge maze is. Well, I put a maze in front of him and I explained, number one, what the object is you got to go from this point, and then I didn't show him the actual map, the actual path. But I said, you got to go through the maze to get to the end point. So, and you guys already know with a maze, with a hedge maze, you already know you've got a starting point, you've got an ending point. Well, I told the kid, I mentioned to him, this is what the objective is. Get from the opening, go through the maze, and get to the ending. Kid looks at me, smiles, puts his pen at the starting line, goes around the short end of the maze, and draws it to the ending. And he goes, well, that's the quickest way. I said, well, yep, it is the quickest way. Kind of missed the idea going through it, but you did get to the end. And this is the thing. This is why I say, know what you're aiming for. Autistic kids have the same situation that everybody else does. They're striving to figure out how to make this world work, how to work within this world. Now, I will tell you, sometimes trying to explain it can be a royal pain in the neck. Lord knows I've tried on a number of fronts. I do not believe that. Are we really? We are. We are already 45 minutes in. Now I'll go back and watch those afterwards. But let's take a look here and see if I've got things up and running. That I'll have to deal with. That one. Let us go back to Facebook and see what we got. When was the last time I talked? Really? I cannot. Well, I'm looking at this, and the people that I reached out to, the artists that I had, like I said, I didn't realize it was this bad off. But as it turns out, I'm looking at the contact I had with them. I have literally been off the mark for the last 2 years. This does not work well for me. Now, what is this? Oh, gonna have to answer that one too. So yeah, I finally got things set up where I've taken my entire negative past, and for that matter, most of my positive one, and gone, I've got to start over. I'm hoping I don't have to find new artists, because that is going to scramble things. Wonder if I go into email. Let's go to John. Where are you? Yeah. Oh, good. Have to get those back and done. And that's got to see. The thing is, turns out I've been out of contact with my artists because of the fact that I went into severe depression. Not an excuse, just a reality of fact. And that is a massive problem. And it's one that I cannot afford to let continue. So hopefully these two artists will pop into the foreground. I am going to have to get is book 2 up and running. Not book 2. Well, yes, book 2. Race of the Worlds, Volume 2. That's all got to be dealt with. Time to start filling those in solidly as well. So again, this is why I say when you drop the ball, and rest assured I really did. But yesterday I turned around and went, no, I've had enough. And I pulled the plug on a few obligations that other people were expecting of me. I went, no, I've got to do this my way. I've got to do it for me in a way that fits. You've got the same problem. Okay, no matter how much anybody tells you, if you don't start doing things for you as a critical priority, you're going to run into some snags. Now, where am I? Go to there and let us see. Pop that over there. That goes away. And I do believe that I hope today is Friday. There we are. Today is Friday. This works out well. So I am starting to reach out to the missing people to get back on track. And even if it's only a little bit at a time, I've got to get moving on it. Because I don't know about you, but let me ask you this. Do you think you waited long enough for the second edition of Races of the Worlds? Okay, or for that matter, for the third installment in the Ildebakian Chronicles. Now, I've got a lot of projects on the go. Some of them double up. But I'm finally getting back on track where I'm going, okay, here is my critical priority. And I will tell you, that's been a pain in the neck to get on track. Now, who is that? Okay, those are movies I gotta look at later. What am I really missing here? Well, whoa. Oh, perfect. Hey, now that was a quick response. Sometime next week. Oh, okay. I just heard back from the artist for Races of the Worlds. This is frankly fantastic news. What is Tuesday? Tuesday is the 25th. On Tuesday, March 25th. Okay. So, that's step one, which is absolutely fantabulous news. It's going to take a bit longer for him, for the other one. Where am I? Let us copy that. We'll go back to that. There we are. Just reaching out to the other one. I'll tell you, dropping the ball on moving forward is definitely causing a problem with marketing. That said, it's something I've had to teach myself. The number of so-called professionals that have reached out. Uh-oh. What do we got here? Oh. Joe's asking, what can we learn from near-death experiences? I've never had one, and I hope I never will do. Well, number one, near-death experience, what it does is it enables you to reassess where your life actually is. Because the one thing that they did actually do, that they did get right, the people that are passing on things like, oh, here's how near death works. You do see your entire life flash before your eyes. But the thing you got to remember is you're seeing it and feeling it from the experiential side of what other people are going and what other people felt about you. In other words, if you spent the majority of your time of your life hurting people, insulting them, stepping on them, you're going to feel every insult, every hit, every biting remark all at once. And by looking at that, you get the opportunity to say, hey, I'm not happy with this. I'm not happy with the way this is working. So what ends up happening is you get the opportunity to change it, to change the path you're on. Now, remember, if you've ever watched, and I don't go into Christmas much, we're in March, okay? But the show, It's a Wonderful Life, shows exactly what can happen in a near-death experience. It's in a different context, but it's the same idea. Okay. That is, let me see here. Pop that over there. Okay. What I'm doing here is just writing on my calendar. Oh, wrote that in the wrong place, Dip. See, where are we? With getting a hold of the one artist, because I'm postponing it till Tuesday to contact him. Well, he asked me to wait till next week. Here we go. That is absolutely amazing from my end. The other nice little part here. The other nice little part here is as I'm starting to heal, I'm finally able to start typing again. Not overly accurately, but at least both hands are working. And that's going to take a little time to get organized. Now, try it this way. Okay. And we send that off. I come in here regularly, so I don't need to worry about that. Okay, did that. Now, what do we got here? The neat part about it when we're looking at near-death experiences is sometimes when you're having them, because it's your entire life, sometimes especially if you're looking into the idea of meditating to understand meanings, quite often you can tap in and utilize that kind of an experience to go and track down your own Akashic records. Okay, and by the way, nice part there, for those of you that say that work with chakras or are learning about them, okay, I am now putting the book together. As a matter of fact, the backbone of it is together. Okay, so I'm expanding on it as I go. Now, why, pray tell, did I leave that unplugged? There we go. Okay. Now, let's get these racked off that I've already been working on. Haven't done those, so I gotta track those down. Got that one done. Take a look at that. Why don't we do that? Again, normally I don't do a lot on the computer itself. I am putting the information together as best I can. Just a note there, Joe. In Positive Perspectives, the April edition is now literally ready to pop. But I won't be sending it out until next week, 29th. When is that? 29th is on the Saturday, so it'll go out on the 28th. It'll go out next Friday, so that people get it. It's already done, but now it's a question of just getting on track with making sure things happen. Now, what have we got here? Okay. Now, today is, what the heck is today? Today's Friday. Gives you an idea how well my day's been going, doesn't it? Now, what do I got in spam? Yeah, you're funny. Got nothing there I need to worry about. Okay. Now, I've got a list here somewhere. Don't know who that is. Okay, is there anything else in this one I got to worry about? Probably. Now, there we are. Yeah, you're funny. Okay. Have to take a look at those. I'll go to those. In the meantime, let's get back to here. Now, let me ask you this. More to the point, what I've got. I look at the number of books I've got. Like, it's bizarre how much information I'm actually sitting on. But let's see what we can do about this. AO. There. Oh. Why am I looking at that? What I'm doing is taking some information that I can get off this sheet of paper and get it put away. 1216. What? Okay. What do I got here? Have to get that done. 1982 is there. That's done. Again, this boils down to when you're puttering. The reason I'm puttering around this way is, well, it's what I do. Now, I was hoping, and Lord knows how I'm going to pull that off anyway. Where is that? Not expecting a lot. I don't actually have to clear out certain things. As near as I understand it, Skype is collapsing pretty quick here. So I've got to find a way to connect with a few people. Where are we here? Going back to that. Wonderful. And what do we got here? Going to send. There we are. Okay. Come back to inbox. Now, that was the one piece of information I needed. What is this? Let us go to that one. Well, Christine, how you doing? Glad you could join us. You know, it's a little on the quiet side in here today, which is fine. It happens. I mean, quite frankly, from my standpoint, I finally got things on track to actually eliminate certain barriers. But I didn't realize, in all fairness, how accurate I was when I said the last 2 years I've been fighting severe depression. Finally made a decision and told the cause of the depression, or one of the exacerbating situations, told them what they could do with it. Because I just am not going to buy into it anymore. I got way too much to do and way too many things that are incomplete right now. Now, where is Al? Okay. This. Okay, where's the other one? Let's take a look and make sure I keep this up and running. The ironic part of it is I managed to get myself so backed up in a knot that it's created its own problems. And now I'm sorting them out. There we are. Ow, where are we? This is just notes that I've got on loose paper that I've got to get sorted out. And I will tell you, if you manage to get yourself behind the 8 ball, it really is. Ow, that hurt. It really is one of these situations where it boils down to one step at a time to get things moving in the right direction. Welcome to the show. Any thoughts on the written? Oh, well, we'll start with the obvious one. I don't watch the news, so I don't know what they're up against. But drone technology apparently is the going thing. The problem is now with drone technology, I don't have a real big problem with it. I mean, if you think about it, and this is based on very minimal, quantifiable understanding of it. But my understanding is that drone technology means you've got a person handling the actual flight. With that in mind, if you're using an F-47 fighter, okay, and you're not putting a pilot in, now do understand I am 100% against war. It is a last ditch effort if there is no way to solve the problem. Okay, so when you start talking about an F-47 fighter using drone technology, this leads me to believe we're talking about putting a fighter plane in the air without putting people in it. Okay, kind of like an enhanced idea on Robot Wars. Now, do I have a problem with drone technology? No. I'll tell you, I've got a much bigger problem with AI, with so-called AI. But drone technology, I don't have a problem with. It still leaves a person handling it. Although people might desire to get things a little bit more stabilized. What do we got here? Oh, don't need that. So I do believe I just finished that off. Going back in March, great. Oh, okay. Well, that I don't have. Those two have been double checked. They can now disappear. And again, it means I'm getting stuff out of the way. There we go. Now, minimize that. Yeah, well, that's the thing. We got to understand something about AI technology. First and foremost, the moment you start turning a computer loose to run things, you are playing with a disaster. Because what you're dealing with there with AI is you're dealing with logic with no emotional overlay. And that's where we run into a problem, and where society will run into a very big problem, especially when you consider, okay, we're building an AI program, we're building AI passenger planes. If you think it was easy to hijack a plane before, now we've got modern tech. Do you realize how easy it's going to be to hijack a plane if the thing is simply manned by computers? Okay, we are talking about a disaster waiting to happen. Now, I've mentioned disasters like this in the past, and it's literally fallen on deaf ears, and here we are today. Okay, so that's where, when we start looking at the AI issue, you've got a disaster on your hands. I know many people are looking at, but it's a thing of the future. It's what everybody's aiming at. The fact everybody is aiming at it does not necessarily make it a wise move. Let's face it, lemmings run off the cliff. All of them get the same idea. And in their case, it's their primary food source to go sour every 4 years. Okay. But they run until there's no ground left. They're all doing it. Does this make it a bright idea? Okay, that's where I have to look at things. Okay, does this actually make that move? I am not the one to talk to about just exactly where technology has gone or what it's capable of. Understand, I knew somebody that had built a virus scanner, okay, a virus hunter, for his own computer. And that virus scanner, and he built it 30 years ago. He built a hunter that if his computer ended up getting a virus, his computer's virus scanner would track down the originating computer or computers and burn the motherboard out of them. Okay, technology is a phenomenal thing. And in my eyes, it's fantastic regarding calculations. It's far better to take your brain and get it working better. So I have decided on something as soon as I've got the time, got the finances to do it. But I have decided, as a matter of fact, I can probably look it up online, maybe. I've got the books around here somewhere. But I'm going to get my brain working again on two major factors: financial mathematics, to really calculate out the way they go. The best computer in existence is right here inside your own head. I got a question for you, Joe. When you're looking at suspicious helicopters, have you ever noticed the color of them? Because black helicopters are usually an interesting set. I'm looking at the way that this world is going. We've got to do something about what's happening. And it's going to boil down to really working with each other. Not waiting for things to fall into place via somebody else's input, but taking the matter into our own hands and really rebuilding communication lines. Let's hit refresh and see if we got a response. That would be absolutely fantastic, although I'm not expecting it. So, and we'll go back to there. There we are. Now, I take a look at this, and I've got to go to AO. That's just the name I gave it. Now, what is this? Okay. That is going to have to be something that I reconnect, and so I can deal with it. because it's time to start really biting the bullet and stepping out of my own comfort zone and make things in the material world happen. So I will deal with that. Okay, this, we will save that, minimize that. And what do we got here? We are looking at, now, when I take a look at, when we look at April's positive perspectives, okay, it has in it a whole pile of new content that's coming up. Okay, but and you're gonna have to wait for a week for it to come out because it'll be coming out. I think that's gotta be next Friday. Yeah, it'll be in your guys' inboxes. Those of you that are getting it, remember, Positive Perspectives is a free magazine. I don't charge a thing for it. I certainly don't ever sell the addresses, sell email addresses. I love people that do that. It's like, oh, I'm going to get your email address, telling you it's private, then I'm going to turn around and sell it. Not going to happen with me. Here we go. Well, welcome's going. Regarding infrastructure today, there was a fire at a transformer that powered Heathrow Airport, the biggest airport in Europe, grounding 5,000 flights. Let me put it this way. If you get, Welcome is asking, how vulnerable are we to these events? I realize there are safety measures all over the place in computers. However, I hate to be the one to tell you this. Well, no, I don't. When you're asking how vulnerable, it would take, I know of a couple of people, knew of a couple of people now deceased, which makes it really hard for them to do much. Okay, they could have wiped out the entirety of Earth's electronic system, except, and in all fairness, I don't even know if there's an exception there, except isolated systems. Okay, this is one of the reasons why I am doing my best to get what's up here into physical print. Okay, and if I look at this, minimize that. Minimize that. I'm just minimizing a lot of programs I've got. Okay, now, where is my list of books? It's got to be in here. That can go there. What if this list is right here? Let's bring that back up. See, the thing there, Joe, is black helicopters are known to be on, at least in the Western world. I don't know what color they are in Europe, but at least in the Western world, black helicopters are known to come out to see UFO reports. Now, what do I got here? I'm looking for a list of books to see if it's in this stack. Because there's way too much information I'm sitting on. Nope, what's that? These are old articles or old notes that I had. I'm just looking to see if I've actually got the list of books that I put one together, but I seem to have dumped it into itself. See, the thing with when we start taking a look at UFOs and that side of it, what you got to remember is UFO literally means unidentified. It unidentified flying object. It does not necessarily mean of alien origin. If you spot at night, if you spot something black in the sky, small black, you can't tell what it is. Hate to tell you this, but that is the literal definition of a UFO. Okay. Gotta find that. And that one has to come out. What is this? Okay. Now, where are we here? By the way, guys, in case you're wondering, I get a lot more talkative as far as what your concerns or questions are if I actually see them. That would be the big issue. Because Joe's going, that night upstairs, the window was open, but as soon as I saw a visual of it, I shut the window and went into my upstairs bedroom because the spotlight was headed towards my way. Well, the funny thing there, Joe, is if they're going to come in, I hate to tell you this, but we're talking the actual UFOs. That window won't even slow them down. Arthur C. Clarke was one. Welcome. Arthur C. Clarke was one of my brother's foremost authors that he read. Now, I am not much of a reader. Okay. But from what I gather, Rendezvous with Rama, which really boils down to a rendezvous with God by a different name. Okay. Arthur C. Clarke, from my understanding, was one heck of an author. Now, of course, I went down a different road because my favorite author was always Tolkien. Might explain part of the situation I deal with. Now, where am I here? I am looking at... There we are. Okay. Oddly enough, I'm surprised I've been on here for an hour and a half already. Well, what the heck? But what am I looking at here? Sent that a while back, and that's okay. Okay, now. Yeah. Well, I know what that is. Okay, that gets transcribed right away. What if I did that? April. Where is... there we are. Oh, I closed it down, of course. Why not? So we take a look at that. Oh, there you go. Oh, nice. Yeah, Christine's going, I'm listening and making dinner, been clearing out clutter, donating stuff, spring cleaning. I appreciate that there, Christine. The reality is, you guys have actually really influenced me and really given me the strength to carry on. Yeah. Well, here's a neat little thing. Welcome. I'm actually in my apartment. I'm actually not allowed to have a hamster, but I do have a hedgehog. Haven't found a hamster yet, but I did find a hedgehog. You're gonna like this one. Not entirely certain how I came across it, but since I couldn't have a hamster, I ended up with a hedgehog. As a matter of fact, I remember where I got it. This little hedgehog came from my, yeah. Tell you what, welcome. Welcome goes, sneak one in. Cute thought. Right now, I'm living in a 3-bedroom apartment, roughly 1,000 square feet, on the main floor, with no yard work, no stairs, and no elevators. I'm only paying $1,031 rent. Okay. Now, with that in mind, the going rate around here for that is somewhere close to $3,500. Am I going to gamble on sneaking an animal in? But I like the, I'm 60, well, I'm 61, it turns out. Okay, I still like small little, the odd stuffies, which is why I happen to have this one. I've got an owl over there, but that's as close to a live one as I'm going to end up getting. The neat part about all of this is I'm looking at this at the extra paper I've got, going, I've got to get rid of it. Because I don't know about you, but I have found that the clutter is problematic. And the more I get it out of the way, the quicker my brain works, which is a scary thought in a lot of ways. So what do we got for Facebook itself? Leave that sit there. Okay, let us go on this list. Sure, I just put the pen down, forgot what I did with it. That's always bright. There we go. Now, what do I got on the back of this? The one thing that I have found with people is it's real easy to procrastinate. It's real easy to put things to put things on the back burner. Unfortunately, it doesn't accomplish much. So now what I'm doing is literally checking them off in a hurry. What is this? Oh. Oh, I was going to do that, wasn't I? Because that I can actually do. Turns out today is going to be a little weird from that end. I need to grab this. Here we are. See, this is why I don't worry about people grabbing all of my passwords at the same time. This is my password box. That way, I don't actually have as big a problem. Because nobody with a computer can hack this thing. Yes, they can go on individual sites and certainly get them. But are they able to get it and get all of them at once? No. No. Geez, rubbish. Not a prayer. Up. Let's see here. Take that, and then we go in here. Now let's see if that worked. Boy, it could be worse, but probably not much. Bad, but probably not much. Yeah, those aren't going to happen. I'm just in looking at my credit rating, and no, I'm not going to tell you what it is, but I will tell you it's pretty pathetic. Not that that matters from your guys' standpoint, but from mine, it makes a great deal of difference because it gives me something to aim at. And it used to be a lot better, but I ran into some snags, like most of you. Uh-oh. What do we got? Welcome. Much as I appreciate the offer, the answer would be absolutely not. I am not equipped to deal with them. Number one, like I said, I cannot have them in my apartment. Okay, at all. Number two, I can barely afford to keep food on my own plate right now. And you don't take on a pet if you can't handle it, if you can't deal with them properly. I mean, it's a wonderful thought, and yes, I like animals better than I like most people, to be frank. Where is it? Okay. Oh, well, that's the whole neat little part. I have no problem dealing with them at a distance. Okay, I really don't. It's just I can't do anything with them from a physical standpoint. Because somehow I think you're on the wrong side of the planet for me. I'm up in Kelowna, BC, in Canada. I have no clue where you are, to be honest. But the fact of the matter is, all animals, well, for me, animals, plants, people, they're all the same thing. It depends on how they behave as to how well I can get along with them. Oh, well, that's a bit away. Yeah, welcome goes. I'm over in the UK. Yeah, one day I may get there after all this garbage is settled. Right now, I don't know what the political arena is over there or the societal arena. Over here, it's a shambles. And until that stabilizes, we've got a major problem on our hands. But the thing is, we cannot afford to wait for the so called leaders to straighten it out. We've got to start doing it ourselves. Now, I'm Manchester. From what I gather, that's a really nice area there. Welcome. One of these days, one of my goals in life is to come over there because, my ancestors actually come from Scotland and Wales. But, of course, the reality is I've got to have a better income to be able to afford that. I figure I managed to afford getting to the grocery store. I'm doing good. And no, this is not a question of pleading poverty to anybody. There you go. Welcome goes, I'm from Ireland. The neat part about it, is I'm looking at this going, my situation is a shambles, but by removing the clutter from my office, by getting rid of the clutter in my room, I am now sleeping better. I've now terminated the problem altogether. And it meant that this morning I woke up at like 2:30 in the morning just because. Okay, I think it was 2:30. Have that because I do track that. Yeah, it was 2:30 this morning. Just because. And that worked out rather nicely. Well, yeah. The thing there, Joe, welcome, is the thing we have to remember is energy and water run pretty much the same way. If you've got a stream bed and you've got it all full of clutter and all full of garbage, all full of debris, the water is going to be restricted. Just talk to any beaver in Canada. They do that for a living. Okay. And they do it very well. So when you're looking at that, okay, if you desire the energy in your house to run more smoothly, net result, you think faster, you're more emotionally stabilized, you can see what you're aiming for. Get the clutter out of the way. Now, this means physical, emotional, technological, doesn't matter. All of it has to go. Okay, and as some of you are finding out, it works. Now, one of the other big challenges I've got is if you take a look at this bin is full of zip drives, some of which have stuff on them, some of which don't. But I've got to go through them all because I'm looking for a couple of files I haven't been able to find yet. Now, what did I do here? I should check that out, which I needed to. That works. And we should get on those. So, get that up out of the way. Whoop. That can go back in the file drawer. There, that gets out of the way. Hey, I wonder if I put it in there. Oh, that's family tree. What is that? Well, those are interesting little notes. These are journal entries and what have you that I did way back, like 20 years ago, which gives me an understanding of what I was going through. And this is why I do recommend people go through journals. Like, keep a journal so you can keep an eye on it. This is definitely some interesting information. Now, who is this? intriguing. Little crib notes from way, way, way back. Oh. Here's a bizarre question for you guys. And I have no idea what it's for. Okay. But do any of you actually know how to figure out where something is based on coordinates? You know, like I've got, I don't even know if they're written down right, but I have no idea how to translate where the coordinates would be. But I am curious if any of you actually know how to translate coordinates, and I'm talking geographical coordinates, based on north and west, your standard 6-digit degrees. I don't know what they mean, but I found a set that apparently I wrote down. I don't know what day I wrote it down. Definitely some odd notes. This is what I get for going through stuff. But like I said, I've got to go through it anyway. Just wondering if maybe, just maybe, the one article I'm looking for is actually here. Actually, in all fairness, it's not an article, it's a poem. But given the age of this, it technically could be. Now this definitely some interesting scratch notes. But I'm going to have to go through and decipher them, it would seem. Definitely an odd setup. All kinds of weird things. Definitely some, and like, I used to write a lot that frankly wasn't English. And now I'm finding some of it. No idea who that is. Doesn't have what I was hoping it had. Part of it, but not the mainstream. Family tree, what is this? I can get rid of a lot of these files. Time to start getting rid of a lot of this stuff. But this is not the file I'm looking for. These are not the droids you're seeking. They might be. But let me get back over there just in case. So let's see what I'm looking at here. Look at that. Oh, welcome. All you do is all I need is an email address to send it to. That's all. If you go to the link at the top of the stream, the Buy Me a Coffee link, in there you will find the link to Positive Perspectives to ask for the newsletter, because I only send it to people that have asked. I don't print it online. I don't pile out a bunch of hard copies and leave them lying around. Okay, and that's the easiest way to do it there. Welcome. Now, where am I? Let's hit refresh. But yeah, that's the way to get it. Okay. And this one, we've just literally, I took 2 months off to revamp the whole setup and make certain that it had information. But the fact of the matter is, I do not put negative information in it. Okay, the closest thing I do to negative information is I go, I'm glad you like it, Joe. And I do apologize for having to put it on hold for a couple of months, but I had to revamp the whole thing while I revamped my own head. Now, if I go in here, considering what I went through, real massive wake-up call. Okay. And I mean, that is very much where things are sitting at this point. Yeah, let me see here. If we go to refresh that. Well, that's live. Okay. Now, go back over here where I can actually read. But hopefully that answers the question. But what I've done is I've got articles in it. Now, let me pull up April. Because, frankly, I keep closing off my desktop and really should stop doing that. Okay, file. Open. There we are. There we go. Wonder where the heck it's sitting. Where are we here? Okay, I'll get to that in 10 seconds. First of all, let's see. Oops. No problem, Christine. We're still here. No, I mean, it is people like you that have really encouraged me to keep running with this. in spite of the situation I've been dealing with. But I'm done walking away from it. Now I'm just looking at how am I going to make it better? What can I include in both this stream and in positive perceptions as well as positive perspectives, because they're all tied together. But here's a quick preview. I can't show you online per se, but if I take a look at April, okay, let's blow that up. We have obviously the karmic laws, but we are dealing with, I'm going to be starting to explain the karmic laws. Where are we here? The anatomy of a home, as in the chakras in a home. Those are also being put into an actual book. Okay. We're going to look at each of the, and let me do a quick count, but I think there's 39. What do we got? 49, I think. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 10, 12, 13, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26, 28, 30, 32, 34, 36, 38, 40, 41, 42, 43, 45, 49. I've got 49 major chakras that I'm actually going to be putting in positive perspectives while I'm putting them into a booklet. Okay. Then I'm also dealing with a number of different coping thoughts and explaining. I've got the list there and I'll explain them one at a time. Now let's just see where we're standing. I appreciate that. I've got coffee on hold. I'm not sure what that means. I'm really not sure what that means. So let me see. Take that away, pop that in there, go there. Okay, let's see what happens if I refresh that. Am I in the right file? Yes. Okay, let's get back out here. That is one of the things when I'm breaking them down. Now understand, this particular booklet is going to be a few years in the coming because I'm only doing, now the book may come out earlier, I don't know, but it is going to be a mainstay in the, but thank you for that. Whoop, where did my, guess I should tell you, Cowie. I'm making a note of it here to include, it'll come out in May, this particular article. Okay, but Okay, that's one of those neat little ones. Joe, one step ahead of you. Hadn't quite got that far. What I mean by that is hadn't quite got that far as what I'm actually working on. Coping thoughts and numerology. But when we slow down, we've got different characters out of the Elderbachian Chronicles under the subsection Alien. Okay, I am including information on as a regular edition of non-human species and organizations. Okay, that is already attached. Okay. Why, pray tell, does that look weird? Oh, well. And then also I've got articles on attaining success in your life, the birth of an empire, which really boils down to walking through what I'm actually doing with Inner Voice. And then we get into economics, which covers language, and I've broken down a number of words in that, hospitality as a skill, civilization on the whole. Okay, but I love the idea of putting an article in regarding how to open your chakras. It's an excellent idea and one I'm going to absolutely put to work. Neat part there, Cowie, is they're actually both connected. Okay, but I do agree with you. Cowie's just saying opening of the pineal gland is a popular question too. Now, the reality is right now, where is it? Where's my Wombox? My Wombox, by the way, really boils down to word of mouth. Okay. And at present, I just glance in here, 18, or I think that's S. Yes, okay. Which is 19 and 52, 62. We have a whopping circulation. Okay. We have a whopping circulation of 71 people. The pineal gland and the chakras, the pineal gland is a center point for the physical link for many of the chakras. Okay. Oh, appreciate that. Welcome. Where are we here? How if we hit refresh just on principle? That could not have gone into spam. Technically, it could have. Nope. Okay, I don't need that right now because it won't show up anyway. Oh, hold the phone on that one, guys. I'll be right back. Oh, that's okay. I'm probably over. You know. Okay. Yeah, well, I'm usually running till 6:30, so I'll be shutting you down. Oh, I will fill you in. Yep, we are there. Okay. Now, let me just take a look at this. We are, where are we? Go back to that. You know, the nice part about it from my standpoint is I've finally got my head on straight. Now it's time to start moving forward. With this in mind, though, we are hitting here. We're over the 2-hour mark. Okay. Well, I do have other things I have to get to. I will be back on again tonight at 9 p.m. Pacific. And if I recall, I wonder if you got it set up. Let's refresh that. Not yet. Okay, I'm not 100% certain I had it set up, but the odds are we're going to be looking at the configuration of the Galactic Consortium tonight on positive perceptions. There's a reason for that, but they're all linking together. This being said, well, we are at the 6:30 mark here, Pacific. So I am going to say thank you so very much for sharing your time with us today. I really appreciate it. The ideas that you guys have come up with have given me a lot to work with. With that in mind, I will be back with a day in the office on Monday, because I only go Friday and Monday, I think on Monday. Okay, unless I got something booked I'm not aware of. I should be back on Monday, but that's the idea. Okay, tonight though, I will be on at 9 p.m. Pacific for positive perceptions. Okay, that said, until we meet again, do take care of yourselves and each other, and for pity's sakes, stay positive.